Hello, podcast family. Welcome to another episode in the Farmer Mentor series, proudly brought to you by Farmers Inside Track. My name is Duncan Masiwa, and I'm your host for this episode in our special series. Now, of course, we've been shining a spotlight on some of the brightest young minds in agriculture, and in this episode, we're joined by another. We're about to meet Sizo Tshabalala, an inspiring young farmer from Mpumalanga. Now, Sizo is the founder of a successful farming project called Tea Farming, and he's based in the Chief Albert Lutuli local municipality. Now, apart from poultry, he's also focused on vegetable production and has an impressive layer house structure with a capacity of 15,000. Let's meet this young farmer. But let's go way back, all the way back when the bug of wanting to farm first bit you. And I believe that, when you had this conversation with your family members, with your mother specifically, she was not too convinced that this is the way to go.
When I was doing animal production the second year, 2008, so the lecture there says you must be very prepared for the future because chances are you will not be getting jobs, when you go out of this system. A certain Mr. keeps teaching us small stock. So he says you must be prepared when you go outside of these halls because looking at the future, there might not be enough jobs, for everyone, more especially for you doing these courses. So you might end up having to do your own things. I did not think much of it at the time until later on. Now I'm like, okay, so it was around 2008. The global economic crisis that was happening. I was very ignorant. Only now I was like, oh, this guy he was understanding where the economy was going globally and locally. So now I go to school, I graduate, I come back home, my parents, they think I'll be getting employed, get that office job, only to find that when the internship contract ended and then it never got renewed. So for me, it was an interesting challenge because it was an opportunity to go into the farming space. But for my mother, on the flip side, it was hell for her because she expected me to get employed, be in an office, and then now here's this guy, he graduated, and then I'm always dirty, always in water boots. For her, I think it was just trauma because I think she just imagined me in an office all suited up, all clean, but nature had a different plan. Now it's a different story though. Over the years, because I think I've also been stubborn enough to continue doing it until I've started showing them the direction that I was taking. I understood it, but it was not clear to them. So the more I did it, and then, the fruits start showing, and there's like, oh, okay, actually now we see where all of this is going because now they are not just seeing me being dirty. Now they're understanding the economics in terms of actually there's a food shortage, there's a higher unemployment rate, and then now we are actually creating opportunities here. And apart from creating opportunities, there's actually cash flow. So it's like, oh, okay, we are actually building something that is positive. It did not seem positive when it started, but now understanding where the economy is going, I think now they understand. In fact, now if I were to tell her that I want to quit farming, I think she would fight me as she did when I wanted to go into farming.
Things have completely changed now.
Yeah, she's also farming now. She's planting tomatoes. She was introducing her to the tomato production. She's very much interested in it. She's looking forward to selling her first produce, in fact.
That's fantastic. Let's talk about your farming business. For someone who's listening to this conversation and they've never heard about Sizo, what does your farming portfolio look like? What exactly do you farm?
We are busy with layers, so we produce eggs. So the main cash flow of the farm is the eggs. And then we have tomatoes, but tomatoes are seasonal. We have them now and then we don't have them when they're still growing. And then we recently started with sweet potatoes. We've only started harvesting sweet potato a week ago. And then also I manage a stud bonsmara ahead. The goats, the ones that I had, I sold them. So we are only starting afresh just now. But the head that I had before, I sold it after seeing an impatience type of thing. I did not understand it at first, but now I understand that. I think it was impatience that drove me to actually sell those goats because they were not bringing the cash flow I was expecting at the time.
What were the issues with your goat portfolio? What were some of the challenges that you had there?
So the first season that I experienced problems, it was chlamydia. So 43 goats get pregnant through natural mating. Then the time comes where they have to give birth, where they have to kid. So I did not vaccinate these goats when it was mating season with the chlamydia vaccine. So they got infected by that bacteria. It caused 39 of those goats to miscarry. It was 43 goats and then 39 miscarried. And then going into the next season, I was actually busy in another SASOL program where I was hunting for funding. And then I employed this guy who was at the farm here. So now as I was busy in that program, I came back to the farm. I think I got too busy that my eye was not in the farm because I thought that we are a team, only to find that, these goats were giving birth. These kids were dying because this guy during that time, he will not be here. He will only be here when I'm around. So I discovered later that these babies were dying because they were not being attended, since some of those goats were first-time mothers, so they needed that attention. So to the third season, I thought I am losing emotionally, I'm losing financially, let me just sell them. So I sold them and then took that cash, invested it on the layer production.
Fantastic. So Sizo, I'm quite interested to know, right in those beginning stages, how did you establish a market for yourself?
So in terms of the egg production, I started off as a street vendor. So what happened was that I rented a small shelter at our local town. It was a small space of corrugated iron, and then I was there for a full year. That's where I got to interact with a lot of customers. And then after that, when we had more eggs, I approached Spar, and then we started supplying Spar. However, early last year, so Spar decided to cancel our supply. And then from then, I noticed that it's going to be important to have different stores that we supply. So we approached different stores, and then we were able to get the Roots Butchery, 1x1 supermarket, the Family Cash and Carry supermarket, the Janat supermarket, then there's Royal Luthuli supermarket. So Spar then came back after that, but so we are still supplying Spar. However, now we have more options in terms of that we supply, hence we are adding stock.
In terms of capacity, your layer house, at what capacity are you currently sitting at?
We had 5,000 chickens, so now we have one house that takes 15,000 chickens, ne? So I have a goal of building another house, so this space is going to take 15,000 chickens. However, my plan now is to have a second house, because right now these chickens are coming out at the end of July, and then 7,500 is going to be coming in around August. So I can't have it at full capacity, because when I'm changing the chickens, I don't want them to go on the same space where those chickens of the last season. So right now we're at 5,000, but now around August we are going for 7,500.
I can't imagine that financially it's easy sustaining a poultry business at the scale that you do. What sort of financial strategies do you have in place to sustain the growth of your business?
One thing I've learned to take very serious, it's relationships. Relationships many people take for granted. One time we had a problem. We did not have enough egg trays. So we went to the different stores. We went from Bad Plus, Middleburg, Wheatbank, Ermelo, Nelspruit, different towns that are far apart. And there were no egg trays and we could not sell eggs. And I said, no, there's no problem. We'll give you feed. We'll give you the feed because we know that you are a reliable client. And also we get a lot of cash from you. So we will give you the feed. And then once you get your things sorted, we'll then get our money. And it saved my business so much because, at that point I could have easily gone out of business, because normally we would have to sell and then go buy feed, sell and then go buy feed. But now there's that relationship that I can get the feed and then send the money. That is one part of the strategy in terms of the relationship I have with Alzu. And now at least it's more professional. It's not a matter of, we are just doing you a favor. Now it's a matter of, okay, so this is the arrangement on paper and then this is how we are working. So it has been that. And then also with the egg trays, I used to buy them at Alzo, and then their prices went up. So there's a guy that manufactures the egg trays, so I get straight from him. So at least I'm able to buy in bulk. That will last me for months at least. Then I know that my monthly cost, it's mostly on employees and then other things.
One thing's for sure, and any farmer will tell you this, is that agriculture is an expensive business. Running a farm is an expensive business. You alluded early on in terms of the capacity of your housing structure and your decision not to make use of its full capacity. And I suppose that's for biosecurity reasons as well. When there's an outbreak of avian influenza in Gauteng, in the area, are you panicking, or are you rest assured that the measures that you have in place is sufficient to guard you?
It's very important to panic. Ray Dalio says, if you worry, then you don't have to worry. But if you don't worry, then you'll have to worry. Because if you worry, then you try to close the gaps in terms of what am I not doing right. You introspect objectively, than saying, no, it's in Gauteng, it's not going to come this side, and then only for it to come this side. My progress in business, has been mostly because I am very paranoid, of the future. So I'm always, researching, the problems or what could happen, politically, or just the diseases and other things like that. So I very much believe in the importance of being paranoid as a businessman or as a business person, because it helps you to prepare in time. Last year, SurePride predicted, they said 49% of South Africans will go to bed without food last year. And then early this year, some economists said 3 provinces might not have food before the year ends. And now, given the weather, it fast forward the process. So where I'm at, I'm constantly researching these things, and once I'm okay, so where is the problem here? I think it has helped me so much in terms of preparing, and also, just being ready for when things go bad.
Someone's listening to this conversation and they are inspired by it. Perhaps they've been following you on social media. If they do, they'll hopefully be inspired by some of the work that you post and some of the posts that you make. I'm definitely inspired all the way in Cape Town. What are the things that you can point to that you would believe has contributed immensely to your success today?
What I've noticed is that whenever there's a decision that we have to take in terms of how we progress in life, many people don't answer that call. You could be going through struggles right now, and then you could have answers of how to improve. And then I'd have to do 1, 2, 3, or I'd have to quit alcohol or quit smoking or quit this. But now, sometimes, we say, no, but these habits, I'm very comfortable with these habits right now. And then we don't answer the call. And our progress lies on the other side of us saying, okay, taking the decision on saying, okay, I'll take a break from this, or I'll stop this, or I'll just quit this, or I'll follow this path. But normally, we want support. When I'm going into farming, I want other people to come with me. And normally, this thing is going to come to you at night when you're sleeping and say, bruh, you have to take this path. I've noticed that it happens to so many people. Even right now, I'm at a point where I have to progress, and there are decisions that I have to take, and I keep, going back forth, and then I fail. And then I don't fail because, it was impossible. I did not take the decision when I procrastinated. I think as people, we procrastinate so much when we have to progress, and we don't notice these things, that it's a door of an opportunity. And then we think, no, I'll just answer it tomorrow. And tomorrow it's no longer there. It came to you tonight when you were sleeping that, no, man, just take a break on that alcohol. But you don't take that decision. I think sometimes we are very indecisive, when it's time to take the next step. I'd say when that voice comes to you, don't hesitate, do not procrastinate, because I think sometimes we tend to procrastinate and we expect to see the journey from where we are to where we are going, of which is very funny, because if I were to drive to you right now to Cape Town, I don't see the journey. It's night now. I turn on the lights. I can only see few meters ahead of me, but I'll get to Cape Town because, I understand the bigger goal of where I'm going. So now, which means me driving to you bit by bit, when I take the next step, my vision opens up another place that I could not see if I had not taken that step, So I think sometimes we want to see the whole thing, but in actual fact, if you understand the vision of what you want to go to, and then taking that decision, on taking the first step, that is the biggest thing you can do for yourself, because after that, you find that there are people who are going to help you with this. There are resources there that are going to come on your way. There's luck, there's miracles, there's all sorts of things that are going to come on your journey, just for you to get to Cape Town, or for you to get to the vision.
That's definitely inspiring what you're saying. I think oftentimes we are so focused on trying to have it all figured out. But I suppose, it's okay if you don't have it all figured out on this journey. I attended a conference not too long ago, and one of the speakers was saying that sometimes it's okay to launch an idea that is half-baked, something that you don't have it all figured out. Suppose that's what you're referring to.
I believe in failure so much. sometimes we are so scared to fail, and then failure, it has so much work, or it gives you so much advantage, because the moment you fail, now you know something, because now you have the product, you launch the product and then it failed. Okay, so now you know you have one strategy on why it failed. So now it's like, okay, I should come up with another strategy, and it might fail again, So I read that 9 out of 10 businesses don't get to 5 years of that. However, my thinking is that I'm going to fail 9 times before I get that 10th success. So whenever we are launching something or I have an idea, so I always have this thing of, in fact, I am going to fail. However, I should give it my all, so that when I fail, I know that I gave it my all. So the problem might be the product or an angle that I did not understand. So once I implement this and then it fails, then I know that, okay, I should try another strategy. However, that failure it gives me confidence, because now I have a competitive advantage. I mean, many of these young guys, when they come to me for advice, I don't normally talk about, the successes. I tell them about my failures. And at first I thought, I'm failing too much. Maybe this thing's not my thing. Yeah. And then as I grew, I understood that, actually this is a competitive advantage, because all these failures, not many have experienced these failures. And during these failures, I've met some incredible people, incredible experiences, of which now I'm a step ahead compared to where I was before. So I'm falling forward, than falling backwards. So sometimes we are so afraid of failure. And I think it happens mostly on the startup phase, because, we were not taught about these things. I mean, my grandfather was a farmer, but was not, a commercial farmer, or did not go into business of farming. So now me starting the business now and then having to, fail so much. My parents could not understand, they've never experienced these failures before. So it's failures that I keep on coming across. So now it's like, as a first generation entrepreneurial farmers, like, all of this is new, and I accept that I don't know much, or I don't know anything at all. I'm a student here, so I come in as a student. I come in as teach me. I don't know. Can you teach me? So most of the time we want to come across as people that know, and I think we lose so much, because once you come across as someone that knows, the person that knows, the chance is not going to help you, because you know already. So what more can they tell you?
And here you are today, many challenges later, many mistakes later, many failures later. What are your plans for the future of your farming business, and what new goals have you set for yourself? Because you come across as someone that you're quite focused on setting goals and setting those targets. What's next for you?
So right now in the farm, 1, we are trying to diversify our cash flow. And then 2, it's actually being sustainable in the space of egg production, of which 1, we have our incubators, but now we still buy point of lease from another farm. 2, when we experienced the shortage of egg trays, we then decided that we'll get our own machines and then start manufacturing our own egg trays. So these are 2 very important goals, because we want to control a part of the value chain, because right now, we have to depend on these guys, of which it's great guys. However, sometimes, they disappoint us in terms of we don't always get what we want at the times where we want it. So now, for me, wanting the business to grow, it gives me the picture that, okay, actually, these parts I would have to have it in-house and then cut out the outsourcing part. So these are 2 very important in our production, because we are in a place that is almost secluded. So 250 something kilometers to go collect egg trays, and then 250 kilometers to come back here. So it's a whole lot of money. And then, the chickens also, it's cost going to collect those chickens. So also setting these systems here in the farm, it's also going to help the farmers around, because they also struggle in terms of getting the chickens, getting the egg trays, getting this, getting that. So I want to close that gap, because I can see that, I've been talking about it for so long, but I can see that it's actually up to the business, to solve those problems. Then also my wife manages the vegetables, so she's still new on the management of the vegetables. In fact, we are still new in terms of setting up vegetables that we sell in the market. In the past, we would do it just for our own here in the house, but now we want to have a more sustainable cash flow in terms of the egg production and also the vegetables. And then what I've noticed I struggle a bit with being organized and then patient. So I set some of these systems, so that I can give focus on the goats, so I can give focus on the cattle without rushing them, to give birth so that I can sell, because we are rushing the cash flow. So I understand that, okay, with my impatience, okay, in fact, when we sold the goats, one of the things that I wanted to solve was the part of cash flow, because when I started, I thought the goats, I was going to make money, and then the goats was just a disaster. And then I noticed that, no, maybe the goats were not a disaster. Maybe my impatience was the disaster. So I need a different strategy. And then hence we started investing on the egg production, to solve that part.
My brother, it sounds like you have a list of things that you want to tick off going forward. Thank you so much for chatting with us. It's definitely been lovely hearing about your farming business and how you've been able to navigate through the agricultural space over the years.
Thank you so much. Maybe just one last point. I have a vision in my head that, in the next 20 years, I imagine we employ 100,000 people. I'm thinking now, how is that possible? But there's something that says, if we could have systems, to employ 100 people and, have a listed company, not just in the primary level of farming, but also a system where, it moves from from primary, secondary to tertiary, and then, they have a listed company in the JSE, long term. That is something that I look forward to, not just to be on the primary level of farming, to push it. I was sweating this other night, thinking of 100,000 people being employed. I'm like, that is crazy, bro. But, as much as it sounds crazy, I've actually interacted with guys who are managing, companies with 200,000 people. And I'm like, it's not like someone, that came with a mysterious life like Jesus, it's like this person was born in this life, and there's a person. Now I'm like, I can actually get to that goal. So yeah, I would very much love having a listed company, that's not just building wealth for myself, but also, taking this community forward in such a profound way.
Yeah.
I think that for me, it's one of my craziest goals.
Yeah. Someone said, if your dreams are not scaring you, they're not big enough.
Duncan, my hands are sweating right now. My hands are sweating, bro. Like, every time it comes to my mind, it excites me so much, because many of the young guys that come to me, they would always say, we want to go into egg production, but we don't want to be your competition. I'm always reminding them that, no, you are not even close to being a competition right now. You are not the competition. What we should be doing, it's collaborating and that continue giving you information that would help you progress, because we are food insecure right now. So me closing in information, it's making that problem even worse. This problem that they are predicting right now, it gives me sleepless nights, because if indeed now there is 48% of people not going to bed hungry, it's a huge problem that I feel like, I am part of the solution to it.
Thank you for joining us, Sizo Tshabalala. Of course, you can read more on this topic by visiting www.foodformzansi.co.za. And that's a wrap. Join me again next time, and remember to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. From me, Duncan Masiwa, our technical producer Megan van der Vent, and the rest of #Team Food for Mzansi, thanks for listening.